I've been asked by the Lonnie Beltmann Agency to share with you step 2 of the agency sales method, outbound strategy. The most important part here, as we move into the outbound strategy, is to accept the formula that the track runs on. The formula is 100, 10, 3, 1. What that means is from step 1, and all of that data and prospective clients we put in the funnel, we're going to take 100 of them and apply an outbound strategy to. This is day 1 for the entry-level salesperson. It may be day 400 for the professional, but you still take 100, and your goal is to find 10 people to talk to. The old rule is I might have to make 100 dials. I might have to send out 100 emails. I might have to push 100 of this or that to get 10 people who want to have a conversation with me. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to find 10 people who want to have a conversation with you. They say out of those 10, you might get 3 appointments. And from those 3 appointments, you may get 1 sale. What's important is setting out on the journey, not the destination. I promise you, most people never actually pick the phone up and dial 100 times. If you got to about 87, that would be pretty good. Your ultimate objective is to find 10 people to speak with on a favorable basis. And that just doesn't happen standing still. You got to do something to get to those 10 people. Now here's what's happening. You're applying an outbound strategy here. What you're doing is you're using the phone. Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. This is Bob from Ace. Did I catch you at a bad time? Something like that. You could be sending out emails. I'd like to put a shout out to Ricky down at Supreme Lending in Phoenix, Arizona. He recently taught me the value of texting. Right? In this strategy, you can always be bringing in new techniques. Ricky took a look at my system. He took a look at this method. He took a look at what I've been applying for all these years in my business practices, and he said, hey, call this company. Put your data in there, blast out some texts, and you'll make some money. And I did. So even as we're generating business off the Lonnie Beltmann Agency method, right, we're still bringing in new and more hip techniques as it updates, right? So here we have face-to-face, we have phone calling, we have emailing, we have texting. You also could do some direct marketing, right? You could do some trickle effect where you put out 3 postcards and make a phone call to follow up with. What we want to do now is we want to take a look at the corporate flip side here and how the whole thing is dying by the appointment setter. One of the things we know right here is that if you have contacted 10 people any which way you want to, and you get 3 appointments, there's 7 people there that you've spoken with and that you should have said, Mr. Jones, would it be appropriate for me to follow up with you in a couple weeks? Okay. Now, you got 3 appointments and you got 1 sale. There's 2 people you didn't sell something to. This is now 9 people. Right? You talk to 10 people. Based on this algorithm, you have 9 people to follow up with. That's how you went from cold to hot or warm or getting warmer. You worked the 7-2 off the bottom. You did not focus here. This is the Booby Prize. If you neglect the 7 and the 2. The 7 and the 2 is the gold mine. You're down there mining it for gold. I mean, that's what the miners did. They put their pan down below water and mined it and brought up the gold. That's what you're doing there. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. The question for you, if you're using an appointment setter and you're in an outbound strategy, what is that company doing with those 7 people? What they're doing with the 7 people is they have a garbage can over here and they dump them in it. And they call them unresponsive and they call them declined and they fail to meet. No. The thing about those 7 people, for those of you who have an inbound strategy, an aggregator, social media, online presence that's bringing in leads, is that those people expressed an interest in your product. They expressed an interest in your brand. You should not be leaving that to some company in Canada who's booking appointments with people who are 3 feet away from you. You should not lose the control of that activity of where those 7 go. I'm telling you from experience, recently we worked with a company who uses an appointment setter. They generated 16,000 inbound leads last year. 16,000. The appointment setter only booked 10,000 appointments for him though. So I'm standing in the room with him. The question I have is, where's the other 6,000? Where'd they go? They're in the garbage can. So over the course of the year, I went over and pulled them out of the garbage can and generated thousands of dollars of revenue for the company so that they could see how important it is to apply the formula to the track. That 7 is the gold mine. That's the gold mine. So basically, if you're using an appointment setter, it's not wrong. But the only time you should use an appointment setter on your outbound strategy is when you're too busy to reach out and talk to the people yourself. That's the only time. If you are sitting on your desk waiting for an appointment to come in and you have an appointment setter setting the appointment for you, you're already on the back burner. You should be taking control of this. So the most important part of this is the 7 people that the appointment setter fails to do anything with because their system isn't ready for it. The appointment setter is also dealing with inbound leads where that inbound lead may request an email, but your appointment setter isn't set up to traffic emails with them. That person may almost just want a ballpark estimate or a ballpark quote, or they just want to start the dialogue. They just want to meet somebody and have a conversation. And that's where your job there is. What you do as a salesman is you establish rapport and you build a relationship. Why are you leaving that over there with the appointment setter to establish the relationship and build rapport this early, and they're ending up in the garbage can? And that's what's happening to many of these companies. And then what we see later on in this process I'm going to demonstrate for you is how tragic this is to your salesperson, how it's the death of a salesperson, how you exhaust them and they can't necessarily produce the way you'd like them to because you're using this appointment setting system, which basically is like throwing darts at a calendar. You have to recognize it's not a scheduler. It's an appointment setter. They're not building a schedule for your salesperson. They're just trying to get an appointment for them. It's the death of the salesman, the appointment setter. So as we move into stage 3, next class, it's going to be qualifying these folks, qualifying the person to find out if they're interested in your product. As we go there, you're going to see the next layer of the 110.3.1 and the value of that. See you over there.